Hi everyone. I really hope this video can work because I just recorded twice before and both of them have no sound. I really hope this one works because I can see the mic pooping up. I don't know. This week has been a really tough week. And also a long week. And at the beginning I don't know what to say in the video, so I postponed, basically procrastinate till very late tonight. But I just want to basically talk about my whole experience this week and how our whole team come up with all these tinkering answers, and just a few very interesting things I found in this code. One success that I have this week is that I think I managed to understand 99% of all the codes in the to-do list. That is a success because once you try to understand them line by line, then you learn it. But I would say one thing is the ability to read, another thing is the ability to write. Okay, so let's go to my tinkering. Yes, and another thing that I learned this week is to use Chrome. So on this part 0, the conceptual ideas, I think the overview, I think the pseudocode actually is very helpful. I really hope that we learn this. Okay, sorry, just checking external mic. Okay, this is Jin's reply on my mic. I really hope this time it works. And so if it is introduced last week, I really think that will help a lot. Even it's not last week, it's introduced at the beginning of HTML, I think it would help because it has all this conceptual logic, how one is nested into another if possible, and all these conditions. And it's like because I have no coding experience, so when you are teaching a kid about something, usually you will use something pseudo, right? That's how you introduce them to a new language. But from my current state, this pseudocode actually is not that helpful because I would feel like it's a waste of time. I really prefer to learn the real code. I'm just saying. If and about this variables function, one thing I found very interesting is the event current targets and this event target. This thing, because I didn't pay attention to them, and I don't think what's the difference in it until I find out on the console log, and then you figure out the different things, how these targets is different because when you put a time, because of to complete it, this whole target just changed. And on this part 2, I would say one thing I find very interesting is here, the dot notation. The dot here, when you are using the dot notation and the bracket notation differ. I was doing another thing. I was playing with last week's tinkering this week, and I tried. So I used this dot notation to access a variable in my app, in my page, in my tinkering last week about the change picture, and somehow it didn't work. So I don't know why, until Jin sort of hint on Slack that helps understand something. And here I think it's very important because although on FCC it tells me exactly how when it comes to variables we can only use the brackets, but you just don't remember it until you made a mistake. But I guess that's with everything. Until you made a mistake, you didn't remember this tiny little detail. And another thing I think is the control structures. Okay, and this for off loop. So this for off loop, I didn't understand until I watched the video of the live session. I think it is very convenient, although it has its limitations, and also about this whole difference about for and while loop that I asked on Slack. I think it is also very helpful. And on part 4, one thing I found it very interesting is this, to do this function by ourselves, the mark all complete and update its items left. Because when we are doing it together, we're like on Google Hangout trying to figure out what it is. I have this basic idea. I know what is the logic gonna be. For example, the update items left. I know I'm gonna do a filter to filter out the functions that haven't been done, which is left, and then put it in a list. And then I'm gonna count the, because at first I was thinking about how to count how many items are left, and then I'm thinking, oh, the length of the array may be helpful, because that is basically something that I think can be counted down. So I also, actually, one thing so funny when we were doing this, so I have all these concepts and we did it. At first we have like initial codes, but there are a lot of bugs. So we go to debugger and console, do it again and again. And about this counting idea, the length, so we actually in Google it, and turns out this dot length can count anything, like a string, like a number, and just basically anything. And I think that's very helpful, this function. And about this debugger, yeah, I think this tool is very important because it helps a lot when we're doing this part X, putting everything line by line, which I also think is one of the most important thing in this tinkering exercise. So when we're doing it, because something very interesting about this week's code is how there's only initialize to-dos, only one thing is called, and on the HTML there's only 3 events, only 3 event function that's connected to the JavaScript. And so everything, and they are not in the right order, right? So it's really confusing how one is nested into. And when we look at here, like update remove button, and we have to go back there, and there are a lot of different things. You have to, maybe something is done here, you have to go up. And you cannot do this by just looking at this code, I mean, for a beginner like me. So in the end, we actually use a lot of debugger and console just to figure out. And so that's why I think the dev tool is very important. And so this, what I've done. So I think something called my man. So this one, to-do of data, I didn't understand until I watched the live session. And this thing actually very funny, because when I look at this, the validate task, this if task, I was like, what is this exclamation mark with this equal thing doing? Is it a function? And then I realized this is something like an opposite. So the opposite with equals means not equals. So that is very tricky, at least for me. And also, this is something, so it means not true. Just everything with this thing, which I think is very neat. And also, I had a lot of trouble, so we have a lot of trouble figuring out this one, even after the live session, because we just don't get it, why it has to do the parse int. Until now, this is one of the, maybe the 2% within the 98%. Well, we know what it is doing, but I don't know why it is necessary. Why can't we just put the to-do ID equals the event current target ID? And another thing I was struggling is the filter function, because this, I know it's a function that serves as a test, but I didn't understand what is the logic between this, because it does not look like a normal logic. But so I asked on Slack, which turns out it is not a normal function, as Jing answered, which is solved now. And so this get to do data is something I'm a little bit confused. Is here, I was asking on Slack about why we have to double check it. I noticed a lot of things in this, and also like here, we have to go through it again and again. I noticed something like a general idea about this code is it is so into detail. It considers everything. It is so elaborate. Like here, how we, if it's done, we add without the class complete. Well, when you look at it, you didn't think about it from a user's perspective. You just think it comes naturally. Only if it was wrong, you would be like, what is this designer doing? But what we didn't know is really the designer put a lot of thoughts into different scenarios. So I would say this code gave me a lot of inspirations on how we should really go into detail about each movement, each state that the user is doing, and how that will turns out. So I was so I will, something I was saying is like it's one thing to one thing is to read, and another thing is to write. So I'm really hoping that I will be develop something a little bit more just interactive next week, and that'll be all. Thank you.